24 hours. 2 shootings. 2 democracies. December 13th, Brown University. 2 dead, 9 wounded during finals. December 14th, Bondi Beach. 16 killed at a Hanukkah celebration. Here's where the story splits. In Australia, the Prime Minister announced a gun law overhaul before the crime scene tape came down. In America, thoughts, prayers, silence. To understand why one country moves and the other freezes, we have to go back to April 1996. Hello and welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Today we're asking a question that sounds simple, but isn't. Why does Australia transform after mass violence while America just stagnates? And honestly, whether that paralysis is a bug or a feature. April 28th, 1996. Port Arthur, Tasmania. A man named Martin Bryant walked into a tourist site with a semi-automatic rifle and killed 35 people. Worst massacre by a single gunman in modern history at that point. And what happened next is almost hard to believe if you're American. John Howard, Conservative Prime Minister, think Reagan with an Australian accent, didn't just offer condolences, he offered a ban. 12 days, that's all it took. 12 days to pass the National Firearms Agreement. They banned semi-automatics, banned pump-action shotguns. And then, and this is the part that makes Americans' heads explode, they bought them back. 650,000 guns, melted down, done. Australia looked at the carnage and said, "Your right to own a military weapon does not outweigh someone else's right to be alive." Now look at the American timeline. Since Port Arthur, we've had Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, Uvalde, and now Brown. After Sandy Hook, 21st graders, 6 and 7 years old, we saw the exact same pattern playing out in Providence right now. Outrage. A bill gets proposed. And then? The filibuster. See, Australia has a parliamentary system. Government wants a law, they pass it. America has this thing called the filibuster, basically a procedural chokehold requiring 60 Senate votes to do almost anything, which means 41 senators, representing maybe 11% of the population, can kill any bill before it takes its first breath. The founders wanted checks and balances. They got a straitjacket. But here's the thing. It's not just the law, it's the vibe. Ask an Australian lawyer about the right to bear arms, and they'll stare at you like you asked about the right to own a tiger. They don't have one. Their constitution is basically an instruction manual for running a government. Boring. Functional. America? The Second Amendment is holy scripture, and the Supreme Court, Heller in 2008, Bruin in 2022, has essentially frozen the debate in 1791. Their logic? You can't regulate weapons the founders couldn't have imagined. It's like trying to write AI policy using laws meant for the printing press. And the cultural gap is just as wide. In Australia, a gun is a tool, like a chainsaw. Farmers use them, you need a license, you lock it up, end of story. In America, a gun is identity. It's freedom made metal. We're obsessed with this good guy with a gun fantasy, the idea that violence is the only answer to violence. But at Brown, police response was massive, and the shooter still vanished into Providence. At Bondi, a fruit shop owner tackled the gunman. No weapon, just guts. But Americans don't trust our neighbors enough for that. We'd rather arm against them. And then there's the border problem. Australia's an island. They control what comes in. America is 50 separate countries pretending to be one. You can have the toughest laws in Chicago, but Indiana's an hour away selling whatever. Guns flow from loose states to strict ones, like water finding cracks. We call it the iron pipeline. It's a bathtub with the drain plugged while someone's running the tap full blast in the next room.
But the politics of guns
Is just one aspect. Another factor underlying the entire issue is the money, and that's what we will discuss next. We'll be right back. Now let's follow the money, because this is where it gets ugly. There's this sick correlation in American capitalism. Mass shooting happens, gun stocks go up. Why? People panic. They're terrified of a ban that never actually comes, so they panic buy. The Brown shooting didn't hurt the industry. It was probably a sales boost. We talk about the NRA like they're the final boss, but honestly, they're just marketing. The real muscle is the NSSF, National Shooting Sports Foundation. These guys don't just buy politicians, they buy the whole narrative. They spent decades lobbying to ban the CDC from even studying gun violence as a public health issue. Imagine if we'd banned research on cancer. That's what happened here. And it's not just about donations, it's about the primary threat. Some Republican congressmen might actually want to vote for background checks. Plenty do, privately, but they know if they break ranks, the gun lobby will fund some more extreme challenger in their next primary. So they stay quiet, offer thoughts and prayers, keep their jobs. But look, the cracks are showing. The kids who were in that building at Brown, they've been doing active shooter drills since kindergarten. They're exhausted, and they're starting to vote. Universal background checks poll at nearly 90% now, even among gun owners. The people want this. The system just hasn't caught up. Australia looked into the abyss in 1996 and said, "Never again." And here's the thing, they actually meant it. America looks into the same abyss every few months, shudders, and just looks away. What happened at Brown isn't an anomaly, it's a policy choice. Until the political cost of doing nothing outweighs the cost of doing something, this cycle keeps spinning. The silence in Congress isn't paralysis, it's the sound of a system doing exactly what it was paid to do. If this helped you see past the headlines, share it with someone who needs context over coverage. I'll see you next time.